Hi, this is Dave Walker from Full Potential Training, Madison, Wisconsin, and we're talking about the top 10 things that volleyball players need to change or to focus on in their training. The number one we looked at is moving from the squat, or moving more from the hip in the squat and less from the knees. The number two is actually opening up the hips by stretching the hip flexors. When the hip flexors are tight, they're going to, through reciprocal inhibition, shut down the glutes. What that means is that tight muscle is spastic and it's sending a neurological signal to the glutes to shut off. Not very good for our volleyball players. So we want to open up those hips. So the first thing we're going to do is get in a lunge position. And I'll come in a stagger stance here. I want my feet parallel to each other. Okay, if I open up here, I'm going to hit my adductors. I don't want to hit my adductors. I want to hit that iliopsoas muscle. I'm going to put my hand back on my glutes, and then I'm going to go ahead and push forward. As I push forward, I'm going to feel that right through here. That iliopsoas muscle attaches at the top of my femur. It comes back through my hips and then attaches up on my lower back. A lot of times people can have lower back issues with this when they have a tight hip flexor as well. So we're going to focus on stretching that and really opening that up. Now, how do we get results with this? We get results because we focus on changing that neurological pattern. Most people do not stretch enough. My volleyball players at Full Potential Training are stretching 5 times a day to elicit that opening of their hip flexors. It's a biofeedback loop, so we need to send enough signal for the body to change. Another way you can stretch that hip flexor is using a chair. So I'm going to put my foot up here, same thing, I'm going to bend my knee a little bit, and then I'm going to focus on thrusting that hip forward again. Now there's 6 different muscles in the hip that are hip flexors. This is hitting one called the rectus femoris. Okay, so we're just going to hold that stretch for 30 seconds at a time, and we're going to do that 5 times a day. Okay, ready to go. Okay, so here we go. Now we're going to also focus on some mobilization of that iliopsoas muscle. So we're going to use a Swiss ball. I want something to put my hand on. I'm putting my hand on my hip again. Now I'm going to lunge my leg back forward, but my force is still coming forward on my hip. So leg's going back and the hip is going forward. And so I'm going to hit that end point and try to hold that for about 3 to 5 seconds. They call this technique an active isolation stretch. And this is another way to open up and hit that hip flexor muscle.